Okay. Hello. Hello. Let's talk about electric cars. I think everyone should have one. Or at least I think any family with two cars, one of them should be electric.
That's a great pull quote. By the way, welcome everyone to GardenFork Radio. We're here with Eric and my good friend Julia. And Julie's been a longtime supporter, a longtime patron of the show, and emailing a lot, and just one of those people that we are email
Pesters
friends. No, it's just no. You are a medical doctor and a mom and a farmer and an electric car
And a
lover.
Electric car lover, permaculture enthusiast. Yes. And turf.
And we just got done. I literally just got done recording a podcast with Rick, which always makes my head spin anyway, but about his hassle-free method of buying an electric car. And now we're going to talk about...
Oh, wow. Okay. About the joys of living with an electric car.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
This is good because in our neighborhood, Con Ed and the City Department of Environmental Conservation just installed a 2-port car charger. A class 2 charger. It's 3 blocks from my house.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
And regular gas cars are parking and blocking it.
Oh, well, that's annoying. Yeah, back in the old days of being one of the few people with an electric car, one of the coolest things was there was always, because I'm in Portland, Oregon, and so there was almost always an awesome parking spot right there for you because it was the electric car charging spot, and lots of free charging. So like at the museum, the Museum of Science and Industry. They have electric car charging spots right up close, and so you can pull in there, plug in your car, and walk into the museum. At the airport, there's a row of electric car charging spots. Various places you could get preferential parking. But now they're often all full. Not with gas cars, with electric cars.
Well, let's start at the beginning. What was your electric car moment?
My electric car moment was... Oh, I got an e-Golf in 2015. So I guess that was over 6 years ago. And when I got that one, I got it because I loved my diesel Golf.
Yes,
so
they
I
were
had
really
a
good.
2000, so I had a year 2000 Golf TDI, and I had that thing for 14 years. And then when it finally just couldn't be driven anymore, the little switch to turn on the seat heater had a piece of electrical tape over it, on which it was written with a Sharpie, "Do not use," because the mechanic told me that if I turned it on, like my seat would catch on fire. And that's a bummer. So I was finally like, okay, this car's had it. Like it's no longer worth fixing. But it had, I don't know, 190,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So then I sold it and I got a TDI Jetta, but I did not like it. It wouldn't let me run on biodiesel. And that was like the whole cool thing about my diesel Golf is that I ran it on biodiesel. And my husband built this frame that would hold a 55-gallon drum at an angle so that I could refuel my car from our garage. And I just had to make sure to mix in the dyno diesel when it got cold. I did once have my car just like seize up because it was 100% biodiesel. And, I lived in Wisconsin and it got really cold.
Right. Because
the
untreated
diesel
diesel fuel will gel at low temperature.
Exactly. So, but I ran it primarily on biodiesel.
That's great.
And then I got the Jetta, and the Jetta was like in big, all caps all over the place. "Do not run on more than 5% biodiesel." And I was like, what kind of crap is this? So it had removed the fun of having diesel. And unbeknownst to me, it wasn't even, it was like spewing out a lot more pollution than, that was that whole scandal. But I actually got rid of my Jetta before the scandal. So I didn't like it. And we got an e-Golf. And when we got that e-Golf, we had a little house in the Cully neighborhood of Portland where the garage had been turned into, I don't know, a pseudo living space. Anyway, the
Hmm.
garage did not open. Like they'd put a wall
Hmm.
where the garage door had been. But we had a driveway. And I charged that thing with a regular extension cord, just a normal outdoor extension cord like you'd use for an electric trimmer.
Right.
And we only had an outlet on the back of the house. So it was a, I don't know, 50-foot long extension cord. And it went from the back of the house to the top of the driveway. And then when you buy an electric car, it comes with a charger that plugs into just any grounded outlet.
Right.
And so that's how I charged that car. I would drive all day and then I'd come home and plug it in and it would charge all night and it was ready to go every morning.
What do you happen
Um,
to recall where you were working then? Was that very far away from the house? Was that a short trip, a long trip?
it was a medium trip. It was the I was living in Portland and working in Gresham. And so I don't know, 15 miles,
Okay.
medium.
So you could easily
Um,
charge that overnight with a plug-in charger. Yeah.
exactly. Like the car had less than 100 miles of range. I think it had 90 something miles of range. And I did take it to the coast, which meant that I had to charge it before I got to our rental. Like I had to find a charger as soon as I got down from the coast mountains. And I had a little scary time because you're going up, there's a range of mountains in between Portland and the coast.
Hmm.
So you're going up all those mountains and your range is going down, 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 down. But then of course, once you get over the top, now now it's downhill and it was fine.
I have the same thing with
As
my
well.
e-bike. When I'm going up the hill, the battery meter just almost redlines, and I'm like, "But I just charged
Yeah,
the battery." But it's just the
right,
amperage draw, and then all of a sudden you're going
right,
down the hill, and it has regenerative braking on that bike, so it's nice. So it charges the battery. But so
exactly.
you were kind of like a pioneer with the electric car
Yeah, in
world.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2015, I was definitely a pioneer, which is why I had fun with all the parking spaces because there were not a lot of electric cars around. I think when did the first Tesla come out? I
Well, I
think
don't know.
my
Someone's yelling back at the podcast right now.
Yeah, yeah. I have good friends in the Bay Area, double income, no kids, and they got two guys, so double big income, no kids, and they bought one of the first Teslas. And so I remember, I think maybe they had a Tesla before I got my e-Golf, but generally there just weren't a lot of electric cars. And I thought it was great. I loved it. It's just such an amazing driving experience because you have this amazing torque. And so for short trips and especially for driving around town, it's just so zippy. And
Yes.
that's what I loved about my diesel Golf was it was really zippy. And the e-Golf is also super zippy. It looks exactly like a regular Golf. They just stuck an electric motor in it. And I love Golfs because they have such capacity for storing stuff in them. Like you can have four adults and all of their luggage, or you can have, two adults, three kids, and two to three dogs. They all fit.
Wow. That's actually a
The
big plus of a
hatchback.
lot of the electric cars is that where the engine used to be is now storage space.
Oh, that's a good point. A lot of them have a frunk because there's nothing up there.
I
Yeah.
know
The
what the
Golf does
frunk
not have a
means.
frunk.
The
Now you know what a
front
frunk
trunk
is.
is frunk. I love that. I just looked at
Yeah,
Tesla.
yeah.
That the Roadster came out in 2005 and the Model S came out in 2010.
Okay, yeah. So my friends probably got one 2010,
Yeah.
2011 because they're on the bleeding edge of everything.
When
They
you
they won't
first
get a Tesla now.
no when you first had your electric cars, were there
Hmm.
Were there any red flags? Were there any problems, or was it just always a glowing experience? Or
Let's see. Well, I mean, I had the scare when I was driving to the coast, and I thought my battery was going to die, but then I got over the top, and it was fine. I had an exciting time where I took the electric Golf. I was trying to get to the top of Mount Hood, and there were supposed to be chargers, and then it turned out they were out of commission.
oh,
So, again, luckily though, I was at the top of a mountain. You know, like the, I was two-thirds of the way up, three-quarters of the way up, something like that. And I at least cleverly went to check on the charger. I wanted to like, top up before I went for the last bit, and it was, out of commission. And so my husband was also making this trip in a gas car, so I just kind of parked it there and we shuttled using the gas car to get to the what's it called? Timberline Lodge. And then going down the mountain worked. So, especially early on, the infrastructure wasn't really there. And now I have an app, and you can usually find recent reviews. And so there might be somebody saying none of these work. Then at
right.
least you know. And now there's a lot more choices for charging. I did have once, after we moved from Cully to Laurelhurst, and now we have a functioning garage, although it doesn't have any cars in it. And we installed a level 2 charger.
Hmm.
And this thing plugs into a, what is it, a 220?
It's
Yeah,
a
220
220,
volt
30 or
circuit.
50 amp outlet. It's the electric dryer outlet.
Exactly, the one that you'd use for a dryer.
Yep.
So we have a thing, it's called a juice box, and it looks like they don't really make it anymore because the juice box we have, if I wanted to, if I was visiting somebody, I could like take it off the wall and take it with me,
Hmm.
and then plug it into their dryer plug and charge my car that way. But now they only seem to do hardwired versions. But we have a portable juice box, and I did have one day where I went out to my car and it was like when your computer dies. It just it just did nothing.
Right.
And I had to have the service people come. So I don't know. I think that could happen with any high-tech car, but I did have one day where suddenly my car was just not functioning in any way. It had to you had to turn it off and turn it back on again or something.
Right. That does happen. I mean, that's actually happening with the more sophisticated the computers are with cars, gas or electric.
Hmm.
If the ones and zeros get jumbled in a microchip or something, it's dead in the water. So there are
Yeah, so
now,
there was one
yeah,
time.
there are
Hmm.
other companies that have the level 2 charger with the dryer outlet plug, because I've been
Oh, okay.
researching that. And they're
Yeah.
not cheap. They're like $200-$300, but you can throw that in the
Yes.
back of your car and then travel to your brother's house and plug into his dryer outlet.
Yeah, you'd have to be visiting somebody who loves you a lot because you're going to suck a lot of electricity out of their wall. But yeah, you visit someone like, I don't know. Yeah, you go. If I were to visit my mom, she'd be cool with it.
Hey, I got some interesting news for you. GardenFork Radio now has a affiliate relationship with Masterclass. Have you ever seen Masterclass? Do you know anything about it? It is like super high end, how to do stuff, how to be better. It's like, I don't know, it's like some of the advice I wish I had when I was younger, all boxed up into it's like a high-end YouTube app and site. I really like it because we signed up for Masterclass. I'll just tell you a story. All right, I'll tell you a story, and that'll be our affiliate promotion for today. We got our new Labradors, Andy and Spike, and I'm thinking we need to kind of improve and be better at training our pups. And I had been watching on YouTube some ads that would come up before a video for Masterclass. And one of them was Ron Howard, who I really like his movies. I like his creation story. And he said this one thing which kind of stuck in my head.
We all understand stories. It makes us believe we can all direct. And we probably all can. We all have our own instincts. What we have to do is back up that instinct with something called craft.
And then I saw another one with Chris Hadfield, who is a Canadian astronaut who has flown the space shuttle, has commanded the space station. It's just neat stuff. And then I discovered that Brandon McMillan, who is a noted dog trainer, also has a masterclass. And I'm thinking, okay, it's $15 a month. Let's just sign up, try it out, and we'll go from there. And we watched Brandon's classes. It's a downloadable PDF to go with the whole series. And now Charlie, Pup, and Spiker listen really well. They do basically what we tell them. I mean, they are Labradors after all. But I was like, wow, I really like this. Then I started watching some of the other ones. So, and going forward here in the podcast, I'm going to talk about the different series videos I've watched on Masterclass. But suffice to say, if you're interested in something, instead of like having to, like, I didn't want to learn how to train the dogs by watching YouTube videos. I like the Brandon McMillan videos because they were really targeted. It wasn't, he's just a good guy with video. It's shot really well. There's a downloadable PDF. I could watch it over and over and over again. There weren't any ads. And I know that I make a living from ads, so you all know that. But anyway, if you want to consider $15 a month, it's billed annually. We do get a finder's fee for that if you use the link in our notes here, which I would appreciate. Helps us pay the bills here. But think about that. Masterclass. I'll talk more about it in future episodes. All right?
So I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask what was the next steps then.
So that one, we didn't buy it, we leased it because we were a little nervous about the batteries, like how is this battery going to last? Is it gonna, is the battery gonna be a liability? Is the car gonna be worth almost nothing in 5 years because the battery's no good? So we leased it. So it was 2015 to 2018. And then in 2018, we're like, oh, we love this car. We'd like to buy it. And Volkswagen's terms for buying it were like, nah, were horrible. Like it was like, no, those are terrible terms. And so we lease the second one? Yeah, and then we ended up, it was better to lease one again. And so I leased another e-Golf in 2018 and it has more range. I think the range is typically over 120 miles. It goes down in cold weather.
Yes.
But it's got more range than the 2015 e-Golf. And that lease ended last year and we bought it.
Nice.
And so I'm going to drive this thing into the ground.
Yeah, why not?
That's my plan.
They have fewer moving parts. You're not going to throw a rod and a piston in the engine. I can't remember the number, but I think gas cars have like 700 parts and electric cars have 200 parts or some kind of number like that. I'm mangling that
there's
data.
just not a lot of parts on this. And yet, all of the body of it though is the same as every other Golf. So if I crash the bumper, I should be able to get another bumper, etc.
And the seat warmer works, right?
And the seat warmer works. That's so important.
We drove a friend's car, a newer Subaru, and this winter, and the seat warmers kicked in, and we were like, "Oh, this is why we need to buy a new car."
Mm-hmm. It's such a luxury. It's the luxury you didn't know you needed until you experience it, and then you're like, "Oh, yeah," because and especially with electric cars, they're trying to get you to heat yourself up efficiently. Because the hot air blowing heater is pretty inefficient. So it's got the seat warmer. And then the windshield is actually really fancy. There's tiny wires in the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see them, but it defrosts by, like in the back window, most cars have these highly visible horizontal wires.
Right.
And then when you turn on the defrost, you get the stripes develop. But on my e-Golf, the front windshield also has a similar kind of a thing.
Wow.
So it defrosts from the inside. Yeah. And
That's
so there's
great,
two
except
levels
when
of
someone
defrost.
cracks your windshield.
Yeah, I had to replace the windshield. Luckily, that was when it was still like under warranty.
I think I'm
And
gonna
since then,
go
yeah.
ahead. Oh,
Oh, just since then it got a chip, but we got it epoxied and it's no big deal.
this is kind of making me consider different coverages for the insurance. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm pretty much electric cars in our future at some time. We're saving money for a
Hmm.
car, but I had not considered. I think with our cars now, our insurance, like, oh, do you want to have windshield protection? I'm like, oh, we don't really need that. It's like, or whatever. But it's making me rethink those kind of coverages. That's very interesting, huh?
That's true. Yeah, yeah, definitely. When you get your car, find out if it has like super fancy high-tech windshield, because the replacement cost goes up considerably.
What kind of maintenance do you have to do on your car?
I plug it in and I wash it.
That's amazing.
That's about it. Well, I mean, we change all we don't change the tires. We change the wheels and
Hmm.
put snow tires on in the winter. So we've got a shed in the backyard and we just store the wheels with the all-weather tires, like right now it's got snow tires on it.
Right, right. Yeah, I know
So
a
we
number of
switch
people
out
who do
the
that.
tires. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Switch
Like,
out
there's
the
no oil
wheels.
changes.
I No, there's no oil change. And I haven't been to a gas station in forever. Well, yeah, it's marvelous. Every so often I'll drive a gas car. And then I'm like, ew, this is so stinky. Um, so yeah, I mean you got to keep track of your tires. You're a little more likely to lay rubber because of that torque I was mentioning. So I actually have to be careful not
Right,
to be squealing out of every stop.
because when you touch the gas pedal, the electric car motors have an incredible amount of torque compared to a gas engine.
They really do. They really do. And part of my commute on the way home is I have one of those things where there's there's two lanes at a stoplight, and then when the stoplight gives you the left arrow, both of those lanes are going on to an on-ramp,
Hmm.
and then the on-ramp merges from two lanes to one lane, and then you merge onto the interstate. And
Yes.
so it's like a little drag race every
Ah,
time. And I enjoy that so much.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
like, eat my non-existent exhaust.
we could go on for quite a while about how 70% of the country thinks they're above average drivers, but yeah, the merging onto the highway with people that either their car can't accelerate or they don't understand acceleration to get up to speed on the on ramp.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Because my car, both we have two cars and they're fuel injected. And so
Hmm.
when you depress the gas, there's not a hesitancy. It's called I call it the drop. But there's a moment
Hmm.
before the engine kicks in because what you're doing when you press the gas pedal on a fuel injected car is you're opening the air
Hmm.
damper. You're opening up the air vent in the intake manifold. You're not really telling it to give it more gas.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
so then the
Okay.
injectors kick in and go, they wants to go faster. We got to put more gas in the car. So there isn't that delay when you have an electric car.
There's no delay, no delay at all. And yeah, no, I have threatened many, many people's masculinity with this car. 'Cause it doesn't look like it goes fast, it's a little Golf. It's
Yes.
not it's not a speedster. It's not a sports car, but it's faster than most sports cars. There are sports cars, especially a pissed off sports car can beat me at that, but only at the second stoplight.
So
Yeah, I'm
you're
terrible.
you're so your day to day is incredibly low maintenance. You can't leave crackers and napkins and donut bags in the car. You got to still clean that kind of thing out. It's not a self cleaning car, but It's
No,
just
not a
that
self-cleaning car.
the maintenance is slashed.
The maintenance is really slashed. Because yeah, keep everything clean, plug it in. Now I said we have this juice box. And so what we have now is a need for constant communication and negotiation about getting the charger. So we'll be like, I'm going to need the driveway tonight because I'm at this much range, or you get home and you're like, sweetie, can you get your car out of the driveway? I need to go in there. Um, but luckily for us, there's always street parking in front of our house.
Yeah.
Like this could be a nightmare if you had a driveway, but you lived, I used to live in San Francisco, and sometimes you would just circle
Yes.
for 15 minutes before you found a parking spot. So if you were in that kind of situation, then the annoyance factor would go way up as far as, I need you to give up that parking spot. I have to have that parking spot because I have to charge my car now. But both of our cars will go multiple days without a charge. So, and with the fast charger, I mean, I can take my car from just about out to fully charged in, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours.
Yes.
So I'll do a thing where I get home and I plug in the car. And then as soon as I plug in the car, there's a thing on the dashboard that says how long it will take until it's fully charged. And so I'll just see that, and then I'll talk to my watch and I'll say, Siri, set a timer for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And then I'll go in, and then the timer goes off, and I'm like, right, now I can move my car. And then I'll just move my car to be in front of the
That's
house or
great.
something.
Well, yeah, I
But
have a
that's
friend
the,
who has a Audi e-tron, which has a larger
hmm
battery. It's a bigger car, a longer mileage, and that takes 7 hours on a class 2 or
to,
a 50 amp charger.
oh, wow. Yeah. No, this is a little car, and it doesn't go 300 miles on a charge. So yeah, you fill up that battery pretty fast. And then the other electric car is a Chevy Bolt, and we're about to get a new battery for it because the bolts apparently were catching on fire, which
Yeah.
is not cool. Our bolt never caught on fire, but they did, like, send us a letter like, don't park this thing in your garage because
Right, because it could set the garage on fire. Yeah, that would be bad.
yeah, it could set the garage on fire. And then they did some sort of you need to bring it in for servicing. And what the servicing did was it basically tamped down the battery so that it couldn't charge past, I don't know if it was 80 or 90%. So they decreased the range on the car, which was pretty annoying. I mean, not as annoying as a house fire, but
Right.
annoying though that you thought you had this much range and now you don't. But they've sent us the letter, and as soon as the battery shows up, we'll go in and we'll get a new battery for the Bolt.
Sweet.
So
And I recently read that there are companies that are now recycling car batteries and either pulling out the cells for new car batteries or reusing them as solar power banks where they're
yeah, I think they're really good for home use where they don't have to move around.
and I saw a container, a steel shipping container where they had cut the long sides off it, that ridgy kind of
Hmm.
sidewall, and they had slid in. I don't know, they were Leaf or Chevy Bolt batteries. There was just 4 racks of them, and so they charge during the day, and then the house draws that power at night. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh wow, it's like an off-grid house or just a,
All right, I'm going to let you behind the curtain here. The camera operator was on the GardenFork patrons after show the other day. Patrons submitted questions, some of them rather awkward, and I answered them. And the camera operator had fun at my expense. So I'm going to play you a little clip, get a little peek behind the curtain. What's your favorite video you've ever made?
Well, two come to mind. Um, One I really like. There's one about hostas. This is a really long time ago, and Henry is a puppy, and that one is just cute. But I might like that one just because Henry's a puppy, and Eric's kind of a puppy too. Then, yeah. But the other one that I actually really like is Eric made this dog bed for the back of the Subaru, and he was like, I'm making a dog bed, and then he shows it to me, and I was like, that's a dog bed. And I was like genuinely like really like laughing till I was crying, because that's really not what I was expecting. It was like, it ends up being like this little cover thing, and the dogs really liked it, and it worked fine, but it wasn't really what I had in mind, and I was just laughing and laughing. Yes. And I think Eric feels like I was laughing at him, not yes. with him, but it really made me laugh. And so that's one that I like. There's also one that's very popular where you're like doing something with the tomato cages and you almost pop your eye out.
Oh yeah.
That one actually I don't like, because I'm like, oh my God, that was so close. But a lot of people do like that one.
That was pretty funny. So I can't promise that every time we do an after show, the camera operator came on. It was the holidays, and I thought, well, let's say hello to everyone. It went over really well, and people really liked it, so she will be back on again. But there's also, just once we record the podcast, kind of my brain is still rolling, and usually whoever my co-host or guest is, their brain is still rolling too, and there's something we wanted to talk about in the show we forgot or something, or we go on some deep tangent like we did on this one. So I don't know, would you consider that? It would really help me focus more on creating cool stuff, videos and podcasts, and be less beholden to the affiliate links and the numbers that YouTube requires to make any kind of money on ad revenue. So I'm asking if you would consider $5 a month. That's a fancy cup of coffee a month. Before that, you get emails from me or notifications if you load the Patreon app on your iPad or your device. It's like, hey, it's a lot of stuff that I don't share on Instagram and Facebook. It's just spontaneous. Like I was watching a show on Netflix the other day, and I took a picture of the screen and said, this is a pretty good show. And boom, I just sent it out. I didn't really think about the planning, the keywords, the SEO. I was just like, hey, I like this. I think you might like it too. And it wasn't This Old House TV show, by the way. So anyway, $5 a month. Would you consider? Interested? The link is below. You can also go to patreon.com/GardenFork. That's patreon.com/GardenFork. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any big red flag for not owning one?
Well, I mean, if you don't have a place to park your car where you can run an extension cord to it, then I don't know. I would not want to be dependent on charging stations. Mm-hmm. That was one reason. So, dear listeners, I wrote Eric an email in the middle of October because I had been yelling at the podcast. Because you were saying something about like you could only charge the car 20 miles overnight in your driveway. And I was like, no, I totally charge my car overnight in my driveway. But that's because your friend had that like high performance. Yeah, but that's where this started. And oh God, now I've totally lost my point. Oh,
relying on public chargers.
Was that right? Yeah, because it seemed that entire conversation was about going to the charging station, like going to a gas station. And I'm like, no, I think it's good to move your mindset. Like, I don't think about charging stations unless I'm looking for a nice parking spot or I'm on a long trip. And I've driven the Bolt to Seattle, and that required a charge, at least one charge, and so I've done some long distance trips. And I've used the Electrify America, so that gets me into Walmarts, which I don't usually get into. But it's just a different mindset. If you have an electric car, you're mostly charging it at home.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if we yet have the infrastructure in place for a person with no driveway, or I don't even think you'd have to have a driveway, but you'd have to have like a reserved spot.
Hmm.
Like, this is my spot because this is the spot where I can run the charger out to my car. If you don't have that, then I don't know if I'd recommend an electric car. But if you have a driveway, if you have a garage, and especially if you are a family with two cars, it's a no-brainer for one of them to be an electric car because the vast majority of your trips are just short little trips. And it's such a nice experience. And I don't know, the once we get a certain critical mass of electric cars, cities are going to be more comfortable to live in.
Yes.
There won't be as much exhaust. There won't be as much noise.
I didn't think about that
Well, I
part,
guess,
but totally, yeah. Because there's a major highway right near my Brooklyn backyard.
hmm yeah. Well, I mean, electric cars going at high speed is kind of like, it's not a great sound, but just all of the noise that gas burning cars make as they start up and slow down
Yep.
is a lot. And yeah, I mean, if I had big money, I would be like, now is the time to invest in properties that are underpriced because they're on busy roads in cities. Like, oh, this house would be worth 50% more if it wasn't on Cesar Chavez,
Right.
which is a busy, it's not a highway, but it's a busy street in Portland. And nobody wants to live in those houses. But once we get to like 80-90% electric cars, it's just not going to be as obnoxious to live next to a busy street, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and then anybody who has solar, that seems like a no-brainer too.
Yep.
That you can just pull the solar, stick it right in your car.
That's my goal. I don't think I'll be able to do it here in Brooklyn, but can you hear the ceiling banging
I
right
just
now?
heard, no, I can't hear ceiling bang. I thought I heard a bark, but
The Labradors are playing. I'm in the basement. The Labradors are playing right above me.
oh, that makes sense. No, the banging didn't do it.
We know what I'm curious about is
Yeah.
because the chargers that have been installed near me were installed by Con Ed, and I'm wondering because
Ah.
I have a kilowatt hour surplus with Con Ed from all the power I put back into the grid, and I wonder if I could use that surplus to charge my car at the Con Ed charger.
I don't know, but if you get an electric car, you're gonna get a home charger because
Yeah.
there's nothing more convenient than just coming home and plugging in your car
Yep.
and then getting on with your evening or day or whatever.
I love
So
that.
then you will no longer be positive, like you'll be using the electricity that you generate.
Well, sweet. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm so happy we finally made this happen. Um, and it's completely my fault. So
Oh no, it's good. It's good. I'm glad. I just want to, yeah, I'm an evangelist for electric cars.
I'm
And
sold now.
I think that your listeners are probably just the right sort of people that would want to get one of these.
Wow, cool. So you and I are going to
Yeah.
stick around. We're going to do the after show. But if anyone has any more questions or thoughts, or if you have an electric car, I'd love to hear from you. It's radio@gardenfork.tv. That's radio@gardenfork.tv. Thank you all. Go out and do cool stuff and make it a great day.
Bye.
Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. Our producer is Sean O'Neill. If you need an amazing podcast producer, visit Sean's site, SeanInBrooklyn.com. That's Sean, SEAN, in Brooklyn.com. Our executive producer is Jimmy Goose. For more information about Jimmy and the custom hollow books he makes, visit hollowbooks.com. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.